For almost the entire story of your kind, you are not alone. Right now, you are the only kind of human on Earth. One species. One way of being human. It feels permanent, obvious, like it could never have been any other way. But that is the strangest part. For most of the last 500,000 years, it was not true. There were others, not other cultures, not other tribes, other kinds of human. Separate species with their own bodies and their own minds, walking the same valleys, breathing the same air, sometimes standing on a ridge and looking across at each other. At one point, at least 5 different kinds of humans shared this planet at the same time. Today, there is one, just us. And the reason why is the most uncomfortable question in the whole story of who we are. Start with the ones we know best. The Neanderthals. And forget the picture in your head. The grunting brute, the dim cousin, the failed rough draft of a human. That picture is wrong, and it is not even close. Their brains were as large as yours. In some of them, larger. They made tools that took real planning to build, striking stone in a precise order that you could not do on your first try or your 10th. They cared for each other. We have found Neanderthal skeletons with terrible injuries that had healed. A shattered leg, a blind eye, wounds that would have taken months of someone else feeding you, sheltering you, keeping you alive when you could give nothing back. They buried their dead. They may have decorated their bodies. They lived across Europe and Western Asia for 400,000 years. 400,000 years. To put that in scale, our own kind has only been around for about 300,000. They were not a warm-up act for us. They were people. By any honest meaning of that word, they were people. And then, around 40,000 years ago, not long after our kind arrived in Europe in real numbers, they were gone. Look at that timing again, because it is not subtle. Modern humans arrive in a region. Soon after, the Neanderthals in that region vanish. Then it happens in the next region, and the next. Across a whole continent, the same pattern over and over. It looks exactly like what you would expect to see if we were the reason. Which leads to the ugly question, the one that hangs over this entire subject. Did we kill them? It is the first suspect anyone reaches for. 2 kinds of human meet. They fight, and the stronger one wins. A slow war of extermination spread across thousands of years and a whole continent. So look for the evidence of it. And here is the surprise. It mostly is not there. There is no clear proof of large-scale, organized violence in the bones. A few Neanderthal skeletons show injuries. But telling apart a wound from a modern human, a wound from another Neanderthal, a hunting accident, and simple damage from the ground-crushing bones over tens of thousands of years, is genuinely hard. Now, an absence of evidence is not proof of innocence. A war fought slowly, across a continent, over hundreds of generations, would not leave a neat pile of evidence in one place. But it does mean the simple story, the invasion, the massacre, the clean genocide, is not what the bones actually show. The real answer was quieter than that. And in a way, stranger. Because the thing that may have done the most damage was not a weapon at all. It was a cough. When our ancestors walked out of Africa, they did not come empty-handed. They carried diseases. Germs they had lived alongside for thousands of years. Germs their bodies had slowly, painfully learned to survive. The Neanderthals had never met those germs. They had no defense. None. We know exactly how this goes, because it has happened in recorded history. When Europeans reached the Americas, the diseases they carried killed native populations on a scale that no army ever could. Whole peoples who had never encountered those germs simply collapsed. A modern human walking into Neanderthal territory did not need to be carrying a spear to be carrying death. The sickness they breathed out was far more efficient at ending a people than any fight could ever be. And disease leaves no mark on a skeleton. A Neanderthal who died of a fever 3 months after meeting us looks, in the ground, exactly like one who died of old age. And then there is the quietest killer of all. The one that needs no hatred, no violence, not even contact. Just competition. We hunted the same animals they did. We sheltered in the same caves. We needed the same land. And in that kind of contest, you do not have to fight your rival. You just have to be a little bit better at staying fed for a very long time. Here is where it turns, and here is the thing worth remembering about who we are. We appear to have had one crucial edge. Not stronger bodies, not bigger brains. We had bigger networks. In our sites, archaeologists find seashells and colored pigments that traveled hundreds of miles. That means trade. That means connection between groups spread across huge distances. Neanderthals seem to have lived in smaller, tighter, more isolated worlds. A wider network is a kind of superpower. It means you know where the food is across a much larger map. It means when your own valley fails, you have distant allies to call on. We did not need to defeat them. We just needed to be slightly better at surviving the lean years, again and again for thousands of years. And the cold arithmetic of survival did the rest. The modern human did not win by being deadlier. We won by being more connected. But the part that will actually change how you see all of this is still coming. Because there is a second lost kind of human, and this one we barely knew existed at all. The Denisovans. We did not find them from a skeleton. We found them from a single finger bone and a tooth in a cave in Siberia. That is almost all we have. No face, no skull, just a fragment. Everything else we know about an entire kind of human, we read out of their DNA. And that fragment told us something incredible. This was a whole separate lineage of humanity, cousins to the Neanderthals, who had lived and spread across Asia, and who we had never known existed until we sequenced a chip of bone. And here is where the whole story turns over in your hands. Because the Neanderthals and the Denisovans are not entirely gone. They are inside you. If your ancestry traces to anywhere outside Africa, part of your DNA, right now, in every cell of your body, is Neanderthal. Roughly 2%, not a faint echo. A real, working, measurable piece of another kind of human running inside you as you listen to this. And in some people, in Papua New Guinea and Aboriginal Australia, as much as 5% of their DNA is Denisovan. This means our ancestors did not only meet these other humans, they had children with them. Children who lived and grew up and had children of their own, carrying those genes forward across thousands of generations, all the way down to you. And some of what they gave us, we still use every single day. High in the mountains of Tibet, people live and work at altitudes where the air is so thin it would leave most of us gasping and sick. They can do it because of a specific gene, a gene that lets their bodies handle the lack of oxygen. That gene did not come from us. Scientists traced it, and it came from the Denisovans. A researcher named Rasmus Nielsen found that this exact piece of high-altitude DNA was inherited from those lost people. Around 9 in 10 Tibetans carry it today. Think about that. Somewhere on a mountain right now, a person is breathing thin air without struggle, doing something your body could not do. And they are doing it on a gift from a kind of human that vanished tens of thousands of years ago. They are gone. But they are not absent. There was a third kind too, and their story was different again. On the island of Flores in Indonesia, there lived a tiny kind of human, barely more than 3 feet tall. Scientists nicknamed them the hobbit. They survived on their island until around 50,000 years ago. And then, right around the time our kind reached that part of the world, the record goes silent. But an island is its own kind of trap. A small, isolated population is fragile. A single disease, or a fight over the island's few resources, or even one large volcanic eruption, and there is nowhere to run, and too few of you left to recover. We do not know for certain what ended them. The honest answer is that we cannot prove it. The timing points at us. The mechanism is a mystery. What we can say is that a kind of human who had survived on that island for hundreds of thousands of years disappeared soon after we arrived. And that same shape of story, our arrival, their ending, repeats in too many places to be a coincidence. So, did we kill the other humans? The most honest answer is this. Yes, in some ways, in some places, at some times. But almost never with a weapon in hand, and almost never on purpose. We carried diseases they could not survive. We outcompeted them, quietly, over thousands of years because our networks were wider and our reach was longer. And here and there, in some valley we will never find, we probably did kill some of them directly. The extinction was not a war. It was something slower and messier, and in a way more haunting than a war would be. It was just us, being slightly better at surviving, everywhere, all the time, until one by one the others were gone. Go back to that ridge at the very beginning. One kind of human, standing on a hill, looking across a valley at another kind of human looking back. For most of our story, that was the world. A planet with more than one way of being human on it. Other minds. Other kinds of experience. Other creatures who made tools and buried their dead and cared for their wounded and, maybe, looked up at the same stars you look at and wondered about the same things you wonder about. Now there is one branch left, and it is the one reading these words. We did not survive because we were the strongest or the smartest or the kindest. We survived because we were the most connected. We just happened to be the ones still standing. But the others are not completely lost. You carry a piece of them, right now, folded into your own body. A few % of the people who are otherwise gone. It is the only monument they will ever have. And it is walking around inside you.